Welcome to Miss Martin Muses and an episode of Catholicsplaining. Prepare yourself. You are about to be Catholicsplained. And also Catholicsplained with none other than special guest Magitek Mags.
Hey, y'all. Thank you, Teresa, for inviting me. I can't wait to get into the subject of Advent. And hello, chat. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking backstage that Advent is so underrated. People just jump right into Christmas and they miss the fun of the preamble.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And you can still celebrate the Christmas season, so to speak, but you miss a lot of other fun music that's out there that leads up to Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and there's other ways to prepare yourself for the Christmas season. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And as we'll see, we're not just really preparing for baby Jesus, we're actually preparing for Jesus's second coming. So this is every year where we ponder that and we ponder the four last things.
Hmm.
So it's really very apocalyptic, which is cool.
Advent is kind of whereas Lent is very how do I describe it? It's a lot of humility, it's a lot of it's a somber season.
Hmm.
Advent in a way is kind of like a mini Lent, but it's more preparation. It's not as somber in that aspect. So but it's a form of preparation to for the coming of Christ. So
Yeah. And there's also many little fun stuff that happens in during Ent, during Advent in between. There's like mini celebrations. So I think we're going to talk about that. But let's say hi to the chat. Oh, look, it's you. Sorry. Whoops. There we go. Well, let's say hi to Magitek. It is Corey Cochran. Am I late? No, you are not. We
no.
Someone else was running a little late. Well, no, but she was on. We were all on time. We were perfectly on time.
We're what was it? We arrived fashionably on time.
Yeah, fashionably on time. Yeah, it says 9 start time, so 9 for you for Eastern. And thank you, Mikey Seuss 4 says Advent applies to Christmas as Lent complements Easter.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
And Easter kind of sucks if you don't celebrate Lent in the same way. And it's such catharsis when it actually arrives. Because in Advent, we do not put up in church or technically in our homes, depends on how hardcore you are, you don't put up any Christmas decorations until December 24th, until Christmas Eve. So when you go into church, you just have the Advent wreath and everything's in purple or dark blues. It's very somber and very thoughtful. And
Mhm.
then when Christmas comes and you come in for mass, if you go to the midnight mass or the Christmas Eve mass or the Christmas day, and it's just changed. It's all Christmas. You've got the creche, you've got all the
Mhm.
fun stuff and the music. Usually it starts off with like Joy to the World, and it's very exciting
The
that way.
Gloria comes back.
Oh yeah, the Gloria comes back because we do
Mhm.
not sing the Gloria.
Mm-mm.
Oh gosh, I once sang the Mozart Mass in C on Christmas Day with a choir that I was in, and
Oh,
when we sang the Gloria for the first time after Advent, it was badass.
I love Christmas and Easter for that very reason because I was in the choir for about 9 years,
Mhm,
and the fact that you don't get to sing certain things, and then all of a sudden bam, this major celebration of, the birth of Christ as well as the risen Lord,
mhm.
and singing the songs that, you know, you don't get to sing. It's like, it's very you almost I don't know, Teresa, if you've probably been in the choir, but you almost sing a little put a little extra or third effort into your singing because it's
Mhm.
back. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, and
Not that you don't put in effort before, but it's kind of like it's a little I don't know, you wanna put a lot of gusto into it, so
precisely. Also, in Lent, there's no bells, and so
Yes,
when you
it's more
do it
silent.
properly, the first time the Gloria is sung in in mass, the bells ring, and it's, oh my gosh, it's so cool. So we're all as we're all singing it, there's just bells going off everywhere. That's loads of fun.
Oh, yes.
And and a lot of these things, the bells and whistles, the smells and the bells, it's to use our incarnate bodies to worship and the Lord, worship and enter into the life of the Lord. The Lord became incarnate, so we use incarnated things just the same way he did. He used things like spit, he used oil, he used all of those things in his healings. So by using our seven senses, wait, do we have seven senses or five senses? By using whatever senses we have,
I think 5 senses,
we
but
have 5 senses and 7 sacraments. By doing that, it really, really immerses us. If you go to a parish that doesn't do that, I really feel badly for you because it it's just not the same. But all of them do keep to the purple, no Gloria. These are really hardcore rules, and the reason is because it's just so exciting that everyone all over the world is doing this to prepare for the Lord. Hello, it is Potato Revan, all the way from the future. Mikey Sue's 4. Blessed is a nation whose God is the Lord. God bless you, Teresa and Magitek, for this cherished Christmas season. Ah,
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you,
very
Mikey.
much. Yes.
Yeah.
Yay. Potato Revan, I must ask Miss Martin, how many advent calendars have you?
Do you keep a chocolate one in your house, Teresa?
Actually, I do not. I have a tea advent calendar. Oh,
Ooh.
I should have taken a picture of it for this. Yes. So I'm on today it was chamomile.
Ooh.
It's fun because it's a surprise. I don't know what I'm gonna get. Like a box of chocolates.
Oh, fun. I like that. That's fun. That's it. All these little, even though there's like Advent is preparation. It's not, Lent is somber in that we need to repent. It's also repetitant season, but it's more preparation for the birth of Christ, in which you I know some people, for me and my family, we love the Christmas season because it's very buried deeply in nostalgia, coming from an Irish Catholic, Polish German family. So let's
Mhm.
put it that way. So we're all very family oriented. So a lot of times, we probably do things that are not very Advent oriented, but in a way we prepare ourselves for the holy day regardless, in various ways. So, um, it's not very traditionally
Yeah.
Catholic in that regard, but I completely understand. But, some I don't for me, it's more like this is a time of year of reflection, of really getting yourself prepared for what really matters most.
Mhm.
And that's how I take it as. I know it's very spiritual in that
Mhm.
sense, but, it's some people have to, if that's how people are able to take on the season, that's might be helpful for them.
Well said. I don't fast. Well, technically, I don't fast at all because
Mm,
of my health reasons. So,
gotcha.
but what my confessor recommended was, but you can still like hold back. You don't have to fast if because you. By the way, the rules are in the church fat you are required to fast on certain times, for example, in Lent, and
Mhm.
it's recommended to do some fasting during Advent, but you are never required to do anything if it's going to harm your health. So,
Exactly.
just a caveat there
Mhm.
because I'm on certain medication that it would just mess up my whole body. But
Yes.
but
Don't do
what
it to your detriment, basically. I don't think God wants you around to be able to spiritually still live on this earth. So
exactly. Yeah. But if you do a fast, it really is very interesting. I used to do it a little more when I was young. However, on the days of fasting that we have to fast, which is Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, I'll
Mhm.
tell you what, even though I don't do a hardcore fast, but I don't do meat and I don't eat in between meals, or if I do, I just have like a very small cracker or something. I
Mhm.
swear all I want is Chick-fil-A on Good Friday. That's all I want. Because you can't, have it,
No.
and then all of a sudden you wanna have all sorts of stuff in between your meals, so it's very interesting that it works, but, in Advent, like what you said, I I look at something spiritually within myself, 'cause,
Mhm.
again, we're looking forward to coming a baby Jesus, but also the second coming. Like, if I were to stand before the Lord on judgment day, what is there in me that he would go, "Girl," you know what
Oh,
I mean?
you and me both, you and me
And
both.
and to purge it.
Yes.
So I definitely have chosen something to purge, which I won't say. Wait, purge, that sounds
I
what
would
is the purging? It's a spiritual purging. S
it's a baptism by it's almost like, in, was it a lot of stories back in the medieval times was, Christ was a phoenix, basically.
Mhm.
Very cleansing of the soul, very, fire and, a rebirth kinda thing. It's kind of like that with Advent in terms of a rebirth and, purging, really really getting down to not being of the earth, but more like down to the ground of what is really important in life, and,
Yes.
focusing focusing not on the self, but what you can do for others.
Yes.
Because this is a
Charity is
very
also a part of it as well. Mhm.
yes, it's a very giving type season, so what do like, what is the meaning of giving? It's a
Mhm.
charity, so it's like, okay, there are people who are in need of it, and, beyond yourself, if you're not of want of anything, then others are. So, that's how I look at it, so
No, that's a great way to look at it. It's also tradition that you choose from a Christmas tree that's not decorated, but has slips of paper, for toys for kids that are in need, so you buy them toys for
yes.
Santa Claus and
Or families, or sometimes you'll have, families that will list some things that they need,
mhm,
and, that's always a great we call it a giving tree in
mhm,
our parish, so, I know my folks tend to go with more of a family. I tend to try to go for, somebody around my age. I know
mm,
that sounds really weird and corny, but it's like in a way I wanna not that I wanna relate, but it's more like I've dealt with my own situations in my life, and I'm just saying I wanna give back in some ways to even my generation, at least around my age, so it's kind of how I look at it. I know it sounds silly, but
no,
it's
it's not, it sounds perfect, yes, or it's 'cause you know what is needed, and
yes.
it's also a way and we're all connected. If you ever watch the show Manifest, it says it's all connected. It's like we're all connected. And going along with that, Potato Reverend says a custom in Ireland. In Ireland, we clean our house a good clean. We clean our house a good clean and repaint to welcome Jesus into your home.
Oh,
That's
that's a cool concept.
dang yes. And it's also a good way to keep the house up. But, yeah, so
Mhm.
you're cleaning your house the way you're cleaning your soul, and, well, your body is your home, isn't it?
Exactly. It's our, earthly home.
Mhm. I need to get up
That's
here.
we're our corporal bodies are basically housing a soul that's that is living on this earth temporarily.
Mhm.
So,
Yay.
yeah,
There we are.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Ireland's awesome. Mi Micah says 4. I've been blessed singing in the church choir for the midnight mass, lectured, reading, even served as an altar boy for this blessed Catholic mass. Wow.
Ooh, nice. I've sang for I don't know, I've not done an actual midnight mass. I think I've done more of like a was it 10:30
Mhm.
type mass. But I've done the Saturday night vigil for, Easter. That's
Oh.
that's let me tell you, that's a long mass, and that is also it's both very challenging in that you have to make sure your voice is
Mhm.
100% for that mass.
Yes.
But also, it's very rewarding because it is a challenge, but not in a bad way. It's more like, you are sacrificing your time for the risen Lord.
Mhm.
Um, and you're also if you have a talent, you're giving up your time for that too. And that is not I'm not saying that in a bad sense. It's more like it's kind of like the great painters and architects of our time who built, like, the Sistine Chapel and all that kinda
Mhm.
stuff. It's very much that is a mass that is very rewarding. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way.
Well, and it's very special for me as a
Yes,
convert because traditionally on the Easter Vigil, that is when the
the
cate
converts. Yeah.
yeah, they're baptized, and that's the main part of the welcoming for the baptized, the unbaptized rather, people that are becoming Christians and get baptized and welcomed into the church, and they, like, change into white robes and everything. It's just really beautiful, but also then after that, they the people that are already baptized, like, for example, me, then we make a profession of faith, and then they go, Jesus welcomes you into his church, and it's just like, oh my gosh,
And it's
it's
all
very
the candles and
mhm,
everything. Oh gosh, it's just
yeah,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, and Advent traditionally, Advent to go back to Advent, you
Mhm,
cannot get married usually during Advent. You're not supposed to get married. There's not marriages,
mhm.
and I might
Just like in
be
Lent, yeah.
yeah, Lent. It's just not appropriate, but Christmas time you can do it. Should also add Christmas goes on for 12 days up to Epiphany. Then there's like Christmas tide, which goes all the way to February 2nd. So you can party a whole month if you want to. But doing the
Mhm.
12 days is awesome.
Oh,
So
yes.
everyone else is like, Christmas is over. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just started. And then you go and get all the discounted candy and all the food and the discounted stuff.
Teresa, you're giving away your secrets.
I'm giving away my secrets. It worked, so it worked. All right. Elda Gravy D is here. Hello. Thank you for being here. Potato Reverend says in Spain, the mass the king attends on Christmas, they sing Gloria in the tune they sing for a new king. It's badass. There we go. There
Oh,
we go.
I like that.
Yeah. The I have this on my slides, but Handel's Messiah is sometimes traditionally used, and the Hallelujah chorus, and he shall reign forever and ever.
Mm,
Oh, I'm getting chills because it's Revelation, it's the King of Kings, he will come again,
mhm.
and all that good stuff. I've also sung a solo during Holy Communion of the Holy Night at midnight
Mhm.
mass. I was the
Oh,
soloist. Yeah, and, the whole fall on your knees, oh, hear the angels' voices, because the angels are there. It's the bread of angels with the Holy Eucharist, and we're all on our knees. That's pretty intense.
oh gosh, I'm getting chills of that. Oh gosh. I mean, for me, I'm a let's see here. I would sing during Fridays and Lent sometimes
Mhm,
for the Stations of the Cross. And I did it so I'm not a very good solo person. I don't do well
mhm,
solo. I don't know what it is. I have a voice, let's put it that way, but
mhm,
I get very I get it's hard because I don't have to think I'm not doing this for myself. But
mhm.
I'm very much I want to make sure it's good for it's good for God and everybody else. Like I want to make it a good as weird as it sounds, a good experience. I don't want to sing terribly,
Yeah,
you
you don't
know.
wanna yeah, I know, I understand what you mean, and
You wanna keep it
actually
reverent, but it like, people focus on things, but you don't wanna sing terribly where they focus on yeah, it's
yeah, like, I hate it when people compliment me after something like that after
Yes!
mass, because 'cause I'm like, "No, no, no, I wasn't performing," but it
No.
has to be pleasing because if it's not pleasing, that can actually affect the worship, and
Yes,
anyone that's been with bad soloists at church,
because you
you
want
know
people to be prayerful, you don't want them to think about you, like, and messing up.
Exactly, you don't want them to go, "Oh my gosh," and it even says that, Everyone says Irish aren't traditional Catholic. Well, yeah, we understand, and American
I
Irish
think different cultures have different ways of how they go about things in terms of how they celebrate the Catholic faith. I
mhm,
mean, if you go to Africa, it's gonna be different than Ireland. It's gonna be different than America. It's gonna be different from, um, Korea or Japan. Like, it's just it's
that's
how things are celebrated, but being Catholic is a universal term.
mhm.
So, um, what's really wonderful about the faith is that it does allow for cultures to integrate into the church in such a way that their culture is allowed, but the faith is still common.
Yeah, the core of the faith is there. Well, and that's the way it was even from the beginning. a lot of the customs, even some of the ones we're going to talk about, like the Advent wreath, those
Mhm.
were other things we took it on.
Yes.
And so, salty traveling sea, Mary patriarchal monotheistic offensive something. Yeah,
Hey,
unfortunately.
hey, Corey.
Oh, thank you, Mikey Suze. I just spew what comes. I don't know what comes out of my mouth. Potato Reverend, do you cut the cross into Brussels sprouts? My granddad did it for Christmas. Oh, that's cool.
I
That
no, not
I've
for
never.
us. We do something different, but yeah.
Yeah, that must be an older thing. That's awesome. Mikey Sue's Force says fasting during Advent's more like cleansing and rebuilding your soul, your commitment to God.
Mhm.
Meteor Advocate Timon.
Hey,
I,
Timon.
yeah, I guess when he's saying Adveniat or Adveniat, he means come the, the meteor. Oh
Yeah.
dear. Magitek did a Christmas vigil mass. Coolness, hun, says Mikey D.
I was in a
Oh, Rick
choir. I
just
wasn't by myself. Just put it that way, but yes.
mm. She had a Reverend. I haven't been to mass in years. I'm from Ireland, Mag, so you can put two and two together. Mm. I think I know to what you are referring, and yeah, it's unfortunate.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Mary Minister Potato Reverend says Mike is for my wife's a universal life minister, and here my mom wanted me a priest. Okay. Pseudo Burr. Hello, humans and other critters. Hello,
Hey,
everyone. Everyone's
Sturdy.
saying hello. Imagine Miss Martin when they welcomed you into the church. They gave you a welcome basket with mini muffins and a squeezy Jesus, little chewy rosary beads. Well, no, I did get a lot of. I got a crucifix. I got a Bible. I got um a lot of cool stuff.
Mhm.
All your kit, what you need to be a good Catholic.
And maybe a mini catechism or something like
Yeah, oh
that.
yeah, and the Catechism of the Catholic Church had just come out when I was going through all that. It was in
Okay.
the early '90s, so that was fun. I had a nice one of those. Good evening, says Axel. Good evening. Gadfly Fiction says howdy. Yeah, I'm a little behind. I think everyone's just saying hello. I love it when people say hello. Sort of Poopus Cooper. I don't sing. It disturbs the other animals in the zoo. Potato Reverend, my TV mask sings "Happy Birthday to Jesus." All the lights went down last year at 11:55. No music, nothing. Then at midnight, lights came back on. All the lights in Clare blaring Gloria. It was awesome.
Oh, that's kinda cool.
Wow.
That is kinda cool to experience. Wow.
Oh, that is cool. Ooh, nice.
Mhm.
Alrighty. Well, we're gonna get a little bit into the scholarship here, if you will. I just chased off all the viewers now, but no, it's it's not going to be that bad, I promise you. But just looking at a little bit of some definitions. Technically, Advent is a period 4 Sundays before Christmas and
Mhm.
observed by some Christians as a season of prayer and fasting. This is from the dictionary. The coming of Christ at the incarnation and the second coming. So they both are connected. And
And we're lucky enough to have this live stream tonight because tomorrow is the feast of the Immaculate Conception. So,
yay!
yay.
I know, I love it. Yeah, everyone sings Immaculate Mary, and we're going to get into that a bit. Advent
Mhm.
has a twofold character, for it is a time of preparation for the solemnities of Christmas, with the first coming of the Son of God to humanity is remembered, and likewise a time when by remembrance of this, minds and hearts are led forward to Christ's second coming at the end of time. See,
Mhm.
see how it's all connected. So as we're looking for baby Jesus, is actually really preparing us for the King Jesus coming as Christ the King. Oh, I'm going to have some Cork talk here. Well,
Mhm.
as Miss Martin will attest, Cork is still in 1250 AD. They still burn women if they can read. Waterford's better. That is a lie. That is a lie. They do not do that in Cork. Waterford is not better, and St. Finbar is better than yours.
I think my family's in County Clare, so I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Waterford versus Cork thing.
Mm.
Cork is better. Or well, hey, we have Saint Finbar. We have the Lee. Actually, Wait, I better shut up because maybe that's not so great. It's a very ugly river, but it's our river or their river. I was a visitor there, and
It's
the,
a
or
beautiful river to you, and that's all that matters.
exactly, exactly. Origin of the word Advent, because it comes from the Latin word adventus, which means arrival, though its root comes from to and venire come. So Advent is from that. And if you when you say the Our Father in Latin, adveniat regnum tuum, thy kingdom come, adveniat, it's that's the Latin thing, but yeah, it means to come. It's like arrive.
Well,
So
that's why there's the song, Veni Veni,
yeah, veni
yeah,
veni Emmanuel.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's basically yeah, exactly. I'm not really good with Latin, but I understand that from a choir's perspective, so
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know singing Latin. Uh-oh,
yeah.
potato Revan, laugh out loud, Claire Christie, that's in 3000 BC. Oh, dear. Hey, Claire's awesome. My family comes from County Down. All you
Ooh.
Southerners are nothing but trouble. Ooh,
Ooh,
that's
hey,
cold.
Southerners is where it's at. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say.
rebel country. Yeah.
I I'm a Southerner in America, and I'm from the southern part of Ireland, so there you
Yeah.
go, the rebel blood was in my system anyway.
And I'm from England, probably. My DNA kinda goes around England and Scandinavia and all that, so and I have reason to believe that, uh, originally it was Scandinavian and came
Mm,
over from Normandy because of the, uh, family history and etymology, but I digress. Mikey Sleuth's 4, Feast of the Immaculate Conception celebrates the Virgin Mary who was without sin and told the angel Gabriel that a son would be born in the city of David. That is correct. A lot of
mhm,
people think it means the incarnation. No, that is on March 25th. And that's kind of
yep,
where we get the Christmas date from. Obviously, Jesus was not born on the 25th of December. Sometimes people say that we chose that because of something with Saturnia or something, but that's not the same date.
mm-mm,
Traditionally, when I say tradition with a small t, Jesus was crucified on March 25th with when they started the calendar, and so it makes sense that there was a custom that you would die on the same day you were born or something to that effect, so it was just fitting to make it, the 25th of that of December, and then
mhm,
since it was 9 months after the incarnation, all that
exactly.
good stuff. It's all connected. So that's kind of where we believe it comes from. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But
I think I know, I do believe you're right in that, 'cause there's the incarnation, there's the Immaculate Conception. There's so many different feasts in which we venerate Mary. You hear all the time, "Oh, the Catholic Church, tears down women." No, actually, we we have a lot of
we
we have
lift
a
them
lot of
up.
strong women in our faith. Let's just put it
Oh,
that
yeah.
way.
Well, and I yeah, as I saw my
Saint
introduction, but
Catherine of Siena is one
yeah,
of
Catherine of
them.
Siena is in the introduction as is the little flower, my namesake. She is a doctor of the
Mm.
church. Yes, exactly. And
Saint
it
Gertrude is another one. She's Benedictine, so it's
yeah, we got
like
queens and all that good
Saint
stuff.
Elizabeth of Hungary. I
Hungary.
mean,
Mhm.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
And well, no, 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 you're perfectly fine. It works out also. One can look at history, what happened when that was taken away. Uh,
Mhm.
some uh, some rights of women also were. Wow, this is like really, really, really technical, but it just goes through when we think Advent really kind of started. And so we have some evidence in the 5th century from the Galatian Sacramentary, where you see Pope St. Gelasius talking about it, and then Pope St. Gregory enhanced it. I'm not going to read through all of this, but it's just how Advent was going. So we see that it was in about the 5th century where you really see it in stone. However, in France and other places, they were already practicing some fasting before
Mhm.
these feasts. And
Mhm.
then it was in 1095, it was reduced to 4 Sundays, and then it was in the 9th century that we decided that the first Sunday of Advent is the beginning of the church year, and it is. So we had like a New Year's, of New
Basically,
Year's. Yeah.
Happy New Year's, y'all.
Exactly. Well, Christ the King is the Sunday before the first Sunday of Advent, so that's like New Year's Eve.
Yes,
Okay.
basically. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. It's Dad Man walking. Yay.
Hey, dad man.
Yeah. Potato Reverend laugh out loud saying Olga of Kiev is one of the most badass female saints in history. I believe. Yeah. You don't mess with those women. And Saint Bridget, well, of Ireland, she I wouldn't mess with her. Actually, I think I'd be terrified of a lot of these saints.
She's actually my confirmation saint name because I was very much admired her. Um,
Uh-huh.
and there's so many her story is so early that some of it is a little murky.
Mhm.
Um, but the fact that she the fact that she, housed the Book of Kells, it's like that is
Yeah.
something that, you don't hear about as far as, how do women in any kind of Christian faith, let's just put it that way. So
Mhm.
so I admired her, and I admired her faith, and I admired her, tenacity to stand by her faith, in a country that's still, there's still the faith was still there, but it wasn't as necessarily strong quite yet. So,
No. Yeah. Good. Yeah, we love Saint Bridget here
mhm.
in
Oh,
this
yes.
music. We love them all, and you know what? Saint Joseph too. Man, I love him. Saint Joseph, the adopted Earth Father of Jesus, should be celebrated a lot more than he normally is in masses.
He should be prayed to far more often for strengthening families, fathers especially.
Hmm.
You talk about, men in crisis today. Let's pray to Saint Joseph for his intercessory prayers for them. He's more like a silent father because he really doesn't speak in the Bible.
Nope.
But he had a quiet strength that I think exemplifies masculinity. Um, and he's also, a good saint to pray for intercessory prayers for, jobs. So,
Yeah. Everything to do with your home
mm,
and also if you're seeking a spouse, pray for also as well because a girl want a husband like Saint Joseph.
mhm,
And though I would say that he is in the mass, so he's in the canon of the mass with Mary, the Mother of God, and Joseph, her most chaste spouse. So
mhm.
he's mentioned in every mass. It's just blink and you'll miss him. Everyone saying howdy. Dead man walking. I hope I got him. Chrysanth, I said that. Fletcher is here. Saint Bridget is legit.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Saint Joseph, terror of demons. Pray for us. He's the terror of demons. Uh,
I think because he's so quiet that
mhm,
he terrifies demons. Like, that
mhm,
is, think of it that way, like, he doesn't need to say a word, and he
yeah.
terrifies demons. That
Well,
says a lot about of how, he's venerated, so
yeah, and his faith he was the one that, legit protected Mary and Jesus when the massacre was happening with
yes.
Herod and brought him down to Egypt. It's one thing to read it, and then they went to Egypt. It's like, no, that was like, that was a
That's
hellish.
more than a day's trip, let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
and lived in exile. It's just awful. So,
And
yeah,
not only that, but with a child that's not really his.
yeah.
I mean, that says a lot about who Saint Joseph is.
Yeah, and the great faith that he had that he
Yes.
believed. Mhm. So, Mary and Joseph go together. Mikey Seuss 4 says, "I'm related to Pope Benedict the 12th, Jacques Fournier, who fought against nepotism in the Catholic Church as well as being respectful of." Oh, man. Well done. Yeah, we like
Nice.
yeah, we don't like nepotism.
Nah.
Nepotism sucks.
It sucks
And
it sucks anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
Greetings, lovely.
Hey,
Okay.
Grant.
Hi, Grant. Right, great to see you. Thank you for popping by. All right, I better get this slide off. Let's see. Oh, this is where I go through also the things that also happen in Advent. So we have the 4 Sundays, but the 5 days before, well, the 23rd. the very last week of Advent, a huge thing happens. It's called the O antiphons, and
Mhm.
they are in the liturgy of the hours, but they're like huge. So like you're doing all these readings, you're doing all these prayers. Often people go to confession, and then in the liturgy of the hours, the O's happen, and
Oh,
the yeah, and
yes.
this is where the hymn "O Come Emmanuel" comes from. It's actually the O antiphon. So it's not really proper to sing "O Come Emmanuel" as a hymn or something kind of before this time. But on the 17th, oh sorry, let me read this here. They're the verses for the ancient hymn "O Come Emmanuel." The first letter of the messianic titles, Emmanuel, Rex, Oriens, Clavis, Radix, Adonai, Sapientia, spell out the Latin words "Ecro Cross," meaning "tomorrow I will come." Ha ha!
Mhm.
Did you know that?
I knew that
Yeah.
from, having to study music
Mhm.
in, middle and high school, because I went to Catholic school all my life.
Well,
But just because I went to Catholic school all my life doesn't necessarily mean I'm knowledgeable where I can grab it all of
oh, no, no, it sounds good. I wasn't
but
trying to
it's
call you out, but I'm just like, this is badass, and I don't know if a lot of people know this.
yeah, it's, especially when, um, in music classes. So a
Mhm,
lot of our music classes that we had, especially I know for me in high school, we had to be in music classes, and this is one of the things that we had to learn.
mhm.
Um, but see, I went to a Benedictine type high school,
Ah,
so ora et labora.
there you
we
go.
took
Okay.
we took that very seriously. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and then
For all those out there, ora et labora means it's not literal translate. Ora is prayer, and labora is work, but technically in the English translation, it's work and prayer,
mhm,
prayer and work or something like that. Yeah. So,
same idea.
um,
It both goes together. You have Martha and you have Mary.
mm,
And I just put it up here, 17th, it's O wisdom, 18th, O leader, 19th,
mm.
O root, root of Jesse, December 20th, O key of David, O radiant dawn, O king, O Emmanuel, and then boom, it's Christmas.
It's
So
Christmas.
it all leads up. I just love it. And
Yeah.
it goes through also a lot of the Old Testament things, the whole lineage of God and Jesus and who he is. Hello,
Mhm.
Tomby. Hi, all nerdy. Oh, how nerdy Teresa. That was a that was a Freudian slip. Howdy, Teresa and Mags, chat and mods.
Hey,
Hello.
Tom V. Hey, Positive Fandom. Hey,
Yeah. Oh dear. What do Dominicans and Col Mundi have in common? They go to work. Okay.
Oh
Oh, there.
gosh.
I'm sorry, I missed you there. Hello. Thank you for popping in. And we have America's 2001. Hello.
Hello,
So
Americas.
So if you do the O antiphons, and of course the whole verses are so rich with
Oh,
who
yes.
Jesus is, but I just decided to put the O's there, and that's another way.
I mean, we've all heard variations of O Come Emmanuel, and one of my favorite ones, I know it sounds silly, I think it's, Man, I Am Steamroller, because they do it in more of a choir
Mhm,
setting, and the way they do it uh the bells, not they don't do like jingle bell type bells. It's more
mhm.
like the, how do you wanna describe those bells?
Like bell choir bells.
Yes, bell choir bells, and it's so beautiful how they do it. That's kind of how not necessarily how I've sang it, but that's kind of very organ, very choir bell, very, like, just respectful to that, and I enjoy that kind of version of it. So if anybody really likes any Advent type songs, highly recommend that version of it. Now, of course, you can find other versions, but that's one of my favorites, and maybe it's because I grew up with that kind of song, listening to Christmas songs on cassette tapes, back in the
Back in
day,
the
so it's
day.
yeah, so it's very nostalgia feel for me, so it's, that's one of those songs that I like to listen to, during the Advent season,
Oh,
so,
well, that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, and I also like, well, Gregorian chant because it's
Oh,
solemn just as it is, and it's so relaxing.
Oh, it's so rich. I mean, it provides so many different layers of contemplation, of reflection, of it's kind of like reflection and humility and uplifting. It's like all of these emotions
Mhm.
captured, which is what
Yep.
it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel these things.
Yep. Yep, all of that. Well, and I decided to list the feast days and the saints that are highlighted during Advent. None of these are accidents. We celebrate Saint Francis Xavier, the great Jesuit missionary, Saint
Mhm.
Nicholas, and we just had him yesterday.
The
The
he punched a heretic.
Yeah,
So
we endorse punching heretics here in Miss Learning.
yes, exactly.
Well, hey, Arius had it coming. He
I
had it coming.
mean, Saint Nicholas is totally badass. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
exactly. And now he's flying around giving kids presents, but his feast is yesterday. Now, in the ordinary form of the mass, he's no longer part of the liturgy, which sucks. But
Yeah.
we still believe it's kind of like Pluto. Pluto will always be a planet to me. So is Saint Nicholas.
Hey, Pluto, I grew up with Pluto as being the ninth planet in the solar system. So yes, Pluto will always be the ninth planet in the solar
It,
system for me. But do you usually partake in putting your shoes out the night before
it
the
wasn't
thing?
part of my custom, but a
Okay.
lot of my students back in the day at the Catholic school who had German heritage would do that and it'd get little golden coins or rather the chocolate coins in their shoes.
Mhm. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with that, but I heard about that later in life. Because where I where I grew up and when I was raised, as far as the Catholic schools I went to, that wasn't something that was kind of, I guess, familiar, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. But it's really interesting how different cultures and different customs
Yeah.
partake in these types of feasts. So,
Well, it was controversial because you would have the Catholics of German heritage that would talk about Saint Nicholas leaving stuff in their shoes, and then you would have some of the more Hispanics and the Irish, for example, and they would be like, "N Saint Nicholas didn't leave me anything." And
oh,
I'd be like,
oh
"Damn it. Damn
no.
it." It's controversial.
I know. It's like you run home from school. Hey, mom, did you hear that if I put my shoes out tonight, I might get something in my shoes? And the parents go, "Oh crap."
Yeah, it's like, "Darn it." Oh boy. Last time I was in choir, says Meter Advocate Simone, was in mid school. We sang German Christmas songs like Stille Nacht. Yeah,
Ooh,
certainly
nice.
has religious significance. Saint Nicholas, I punch heretics and gives kids gift to kids, and I am all out of gifts. So okay. Oh dear. Yeah, so he punched Arius. Now we don't entirely know. I mean, that might be apocryphal, but it just sounds awesome. But that is his claim to fame. So I always like the meme. You talk about deck the halls, and I call talk about deck the heretic.
Well, I mean, especially if you read up on his life and how he lived it,
Mhm.
um, it makes sense. Let's put
Yeah.
it that
Oh
way.
yeah. He was a staunch supporter of the Trinity,
Yeah.
and Arius was a
He wasn't
loser.
having any of it from Arius.
Yeah, he wasn't dealing with any of it. I love a guy that'll punch out a
I
heretic.
mean, you talk about masculinity right there. He stood up for the Trinity.
Exactly, and then the custom was that he would break into people's houses and leave dowries for poor
Didn't he
women.
help married couples too? Or he'd help married couples who or maybe I'm thinking
Well,
of a
I just know for the dowries that
yes,
because, for the women, that was probably it, like, if they were too
maybe
poor.
that's what it was, and he was
Mhm.
yes, okay, that's what it was. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
was like
No
something about
worries.
married couples or something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, he is an all-around good guy. Then we have St. John of the Cross, the great Carmelite
Mhm.
mystic. Love him. Uh, the 12th, Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is very big for the Americas because Our
Mhm.
Lady of Guadalupe is our patron and very celebrated in Hispanic cultures in Mexico because that's where she appeared in the 1500s. So we celebrate Our Lady of Guadalupe. That's a real big feast. And then I put in all caps the one that's tomorrow. It is the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception, and something that's the solemnity is like that's huge. It is a holy day of obligation because again, it's all connected. You know, December 8th, December 25th, March 25th, September 8th. So,
It's also one of those days, sorry, Teresa. It's
no, go
also
ahead.
one of those, days where, sometimes some I know in the United States Catholic bishops, they allow some holy days to fall on a Sunday, so to speak,
Mhm.
but this is one of the but the Solemnity of the Immaculate Conception is one of those days that does not get moved to a Sunday. You
Mm-mm.
have to go to mass. It's a holy day of when you say a holy day of obligation, it means you as a baptized practicing Catholic, especially, should go to mass on that day, regardless of what day it is. So if it
Mhm.
falls on a Saturday, you need to go to mass on a Saturday and still fulfill your Sunday mass obligation.
Yeah.
So that's it's one of those things.
It's well,
It
it's
doesn't
that
change. Yeah.
yeah. Well, though I think if it is on a Saturday, I think it might be mitigated from the obligation, but don't quote me on that.
I don't know. I know.
I know they do that with August 15th. Oh, I forgot August 15th is also connected. But,
Yeah.
don't quote me on that. But, for
Yeah.
sure, that never happens on Christmas. So, when the Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday, which I think it does this year, you
No,
go to
it's on a
mass
Monday.
it's on a
It's
Monday. Okay,
you
so
have you
maybe
have to go to you have to fulfill your 4th Sunday of Advent Sunday
mhm.
mass as well as Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's really surreal. Once I did the ad 4th Sunday of Advent in the morning, and then in the evening, it was Christmas. It was fun. Yeah,
It it's
Señora
not
de
it's not
Guadalupe.
it's not an easy thing as a Catholic because it does get a little confusing,
Mhm.
when you're trying to figure out how you do
Yeah.
how you do things. So I completely understand. Like, I'm not saying I'm a perfect Catholic, with that in that regard, because people ask me questions all the time, and I'm like, "Okay, I think it's this way, but make sure you ask your parish priest on this."
Yeah, and they're usually really good about putting it in the bulletin. And sometimes people are like, obligation, why do you have to do this? Jesus never said you had to do this. It's like, well, no. But here's the thing is that the reason why it's an obligation, a holy day of obligation that there's like really get your butt to church is because it is so important for your soul, for the celebration of the church, for the whole world. We're proclaiming Jesus. It's like a big Woodstock for Jesus and Mary and all the saints and everything is everyone all over the world is doing it. And when you do go, it keeps that soul going. Like it's like the next way station on it's like, okay, you got December 8th and then all the other things that
Well,
go along
and
with it.
it keeps you focused, not on yourself.
Yes,
It keeps you
precisely.
focused on the bigger picture of what's really going on.
Mhm.
Um, and it's and I know Islam, there are those who speak not very highly of Mary, but Jesus spoke very highly of his mother.
Yeah.
Uh, and not only that, but he was dying on the cross when he told his beloved apostle to take care of his mother.
Yeah.
That says a lot of things about how he treated his mother. So I think we should give her that due respect.
Yes. And if anyone's interested, wants to know about that, I do have a Catholic explaining of Mary as Ark of the Covenant, and that will also put that into perspective. Oh my goodness, America's 2001. I've been taking classes on becoming Catholic. It's a bit of a long story how I got there, so this is pretty helpful. Oh,
Oh,
great.
yay!
Yay.
Well, yay! You'll
Welcome
have your
home.
birthday into the church. So welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. We're all kind of crazy. It's but I heard someone say it was Scott Hahn. Someone asked him, "Does it ever upset you that maybe sometimes in the church we're always fighting?" And he was like, "We're a family. Of course we
Yeah,
fight, but we
yeah.
still love each other, and we're all in
Um,
this together."
another cool celebrity, Mark Wahlberg.
Mhm.
Um, he got saved by his faith. A priest helped him kind of get him on track,
Mhm.
and he's Mark Wahlberg is very proud of his faith. So if you ever want to read up a little bit more on kind of because he was baptized Catholic, but then he fell away a little bit, and
Mhm.
then he came back. So he's a great a good celebrity too, who can speak to that.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to show it either. He posts pics all the time on you know Ash Wednesday Lent stuff and everything. So he's very forward in what he believes in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he does a lot of prayers and meditations on the Hallow app, which I subscribe to, which is really cool.
oh, I have that app. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it'll be like, "This is Mark Wahlberg," does the rosary with him, it's really cool.
Yeah, he's
Um,
not he's not afraid at all, and if anybody speaks out against it, I don't know, they've not spoken against him on it because I think they're afraid of him.
yeah,
So,
he's got a lot of authority.
he's yeah, he's not afraid, so
Yeah.
anyway.
Fletcher Williams says, "Welcome to the one huge world family, Americus." Yes, and I would add, "Welcome to the one huge world drama dysfunctional family, Americus."
We're
Because
we're a universal family, let's put it that
yeah, but we put the fun into dysfunctional. We all, so it's awesome, and yeah, even if things happen with the human part of the church, that doesn't do anything about Jesus. Yeah, I always tell
the
people.
institution of the church is made up of flawed people.
Mhm. And I would say you don't leave Jesus because of Judas,
Yes.
and that the gates of hell will not prevail. And it's really fun being Catholic, especially if you do it right. Also, converts and reverts. There's a pub crawl with John Trent from Bounding into Comics. That if you want to look into that, because he's a revert and I'm a convert, we share our stories there. Oh yeah, they said just after this, I have my welcome right next Saturday. Yes, yes, it is.
Woo!
Excellent. Woohoo! Oh,
Another cool app that I have because I have a couple of apps that I have. Another app that I suggest is Laudate, Laudate. That's another great app to have. In fact, you can bookmark prayers, novenas, and all that kind of stuff. Um, and it's really really nice. Especially when you like me, where I have little mini prayer books that are from, like, the early '90s, and they're falling
mhm.
apart. So it's
Yeah.
kind of it's and it doesn't have all the prayers in there, but it's really nice to see that you might see newer prayers or, like, there's some novenas in there, like, novena to the Immaculate Conception that's in there,
Mhm.
and that's, it's very helpful, and I think there are some readings in there that I think there's like daily prayers, daily Bible verses, order of the Mass. So if you don't have a book in a church that you're going to on Mass on Sunday, sometimes I will pull it out to follow the readings on Sunday, and then of course I put it away at whatever. But it's really nice to follow along in that sense. But yeah, I highly recommend it. So
Mhm.
that's
Yep.
another good one.
Yay. Meteor Advocate says, the most remembered saint in December around here is Saint Sylvester. There is a marathon that occurs in San Paulo every year named Saint Sylvester's Marathon. Oh, cool. He says he will look it up. Excellent. Well, here is a huge custom that is associated with Advent, and it is the Advent wreath. So now
Hmm.
mine doesn't have the the
The
greens and stuff.
greens.
Yeah, but in church, they also have them. It's actually a custom that is in the church, and it's part of the liturgy when they light each candle. There's 3 candles, purple for the penance, and then the
Rose.
pink, which is for Gaudete Sunday, which is
Gaudete,
yeah,
gaudete.
Gaudete, Sisters of
Yes.
Maria Virgine Gaudete.
Oh, it's such
Yeah,
a fun song. I love
yes,
it.
yes. Oh, dear. Um, so the 3rd Sunday, it's like, "Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo." It's so lots of celebration in the middle of it. Now, sometimes people will call it, like, hope, love, and all that. I'm not quite sure if that is a church tradition or some other tradition, w where each candle stands for something. I I don't know.
I I heard it year like, I'm not sure either, but I guess I like it because it kind of maybe falls in line with a little bit of what the gospel readings do say.
Mhm,
You have the first advent is hope, um, you know, it's the coming of Christ,
Mhm.
being hopeful. But then, it's hope, peace, joy is another one, and I can't remember the fourth one,
Mhm.
but yes, so in some way, I'm not sure if that's a Catholic thing, but I've seen that so many places, and
Mhm.
even my folks and I, we have in one of our many moves, we lost our original Advent wreath, um, and we bought a new one in a small little town in Virginia where there's a very high Irish presence, let's put it
Uh-huh.
that way. And so we bought a really nice, beautiful, um, it has a lot of weight to it, Advent wreath. It's made out of metal, with
Mhm.
gold surface with the hope, peace, joy, and the fourth one.
Everybody
Um,
Google. Yeah.
and but it's really beautiful. So but yeah, the Advent wreaths are they're the reason why they're in a circle. There's a symbol to that as well, and I'm sure you'll answer that one, Teresa. I don't want to take everything away
No,
from
no, you
you.
go ahead, take it. It's okay.
I think it's the way, because it's in a, I'm trying to recall. So as I told you, my knowledge recall here is kind
Mhm.
of very vague. The reason why it's in a circle, it's like a sign of new hope, of a new birth, of
Mhm.
it's not necessarily repetition of a cycle. It's more like, I think it has a lot to do with the symbol of rebirth.
Yeah,
From what I'm
and some of that is a little bit from its
recall that.
pagan, yes, it's a little bit from its pagan roots.
Yes.
Yeah, that eternity, um, I don't know. I'm Googling it right now because I'm like, "Why the hell is it a circle?" But you also see circles too in Ireland, Irish crosses having to do with the Trinity. So
Well, and that's how St. Patrick was able to convert the Irish people. He was able to, and that was the thing about, that's what people don't understand when, okay, well, Christianity based their stuff around paganism, and I'm not going to go down that road, but it's
mhm,
like, well, it's because the saints understood the current culture, and so they spoke to the people by preaching the gospel with their current culture, and how they were able to understand it.
mhm,
You need to speak to people in their people's way,
yeah,
and that is how they were able to do it. And not, they didn't do it maliciously. It was very much trying to be able to talk in their language and their culture, and being able to preach the gospel that way. I mean, look at St. Francis, how he did the living nativity for poor people who didn't understand it, who didn't
mhm.
understand or didn't read, and he had a living nativity scene, and it made sense to people because that's how you spoke to people. It's like,
Exactly. It is part of their culture and traditions with a small t, that there's
yes,
nothing wrong with w what is surrounding people. And I've got it here. It symbolizes the eternity of God, the immortality of the soul, and the everlasting life we find in Christ.
yes, yeah, okay, yeah.
So there we
So,
go. So what they said. And the wreaths and all that, again, that's from the pagan roots. But, lots of things we do are pagan, if you will, pagan. And maybe, I don't wanna cause controversy saying there's nothing wrong with I mean, that's part of their culture, that's who they were, and just because, like, a thing like wearing a wedding ring is a quote unquote "pagan custom," everyone does it, that doesn't mean that we're all like witches or anything weird like that, even though pagans and witches aren't the same. But it's just recognizing that we are an incarnate religion, and the church has also tested the spirits over time on these kind of things. That there
exactly.
are certain things that are absolutely forbidden, that have its root not in, the church, that might be even
Some
ancestral.
things were good, and
Mhm.
some things are
And
just, are
we're
nat
not so
or
good.
nature, by natural law, not
Mhm.
really as good as they were.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, exactly. And the Advent wreath is an example of, yeah, nothing wrong with this, and quote unquote by baptizing it,
yes.
it's a beautiful thing. And look who it is here. It is America's
Hey.
ass. Hello. Yeah. Thank
Hey,
you.
JT.
Yay. The Advent covers all 4 Sundays of December before the 25th. That is correct. And it's just a really nice custom. And this is a example of it in a church. Check out the size of that thing.
I
Ours
know.
is like that too. They're pretty big.
Yeah, they can be depending on, I guess, depending on the no, mine is, they're pretty big. So,
Hmm.
so basically, an Advent wreath, so the first and second Sunday is always purple,
Hmm.
and the third Sunday of Advent, which is, like you said, Gaudete Sunday, is they say rose. You don't say
Hmm.
pink.
Yeah, rose.
You say rose. But yeah, so it's, I mean, everybody says, of course, everybody says pink when, but the technical term, if you want to know,
Yes.
is rose. And then of course the fourth Sunday of Advent is back to purple.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
in which
Dependency.
case we're going to have a very short fourth fourth Sunday of Advent
It's
this year.
gonna be one day. One.
Basically, it's be like less than 24 hours.
Yeah. And, uh, it's also custom to have one in your own home, so,
Mhm.
yay, look at mine. This is what we call a cat advent candle thing because I've got cats. So, they are battery operated
Oh
and
my gosh, I love it. So we have a cat and a dog, but at least they're not as curious of it. But yeah, so you would have the, oh gosh, I wish I had taken a picture of her Advent wreath. Um, but even some Advent wreaths will have the four outward candles in the circle, and then in the
Mhm,
middle would be a white candle, and that symbolizes the Christmas season. So a lot of times, so each Advent Sunday, you light the candle for that particular Sunday. So first because it's the first week of Advent, you light one candle. Then with the second Sunday of Advent coming up, you light two candles, and then so on and so forth according to the calendar.
mhm,
And then when Christmas comes, if you have a white candle in the middle, you light all the candles plus the white candle, and then you go along for the 12 days of Christmas, basically.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's a really cool tradition. I don't, we used to have, I don't know about you, Teresa, but we used to have, um, in our original, it happens when you move and you lose it all.
Yeah.
Uh, we used to have like this really pretty, and beautiful prayers of pamphlets where, before, especially for dinner, it was always hard for, you can't couldn't do it for every meal, but we usually did it for dinner for us because it was easier because everybody was together. um you light the candle or the appropriate candles
Mhm,
for the season, and you say the prayers that were in the pamphlet or whatever is available to you, and then of course you say, the traditional prayer of the meal, then you move, then, of course, you eat your meal. But that's kind of how we did it.
yeah. Yeah, each family can have their own traditions, and there's no, like, set rules for something like an
No,
advent calendar. It's,
no.
or your advent candles.
You can just say like a Hail Mary or something, or keep it simple like that. But I know a lot of dioceses will have their own, um, either daily prayer or different daily prayers, or a weekly prayer. It depends. I just I just missed that pamphlet so much because it always had like a little snippet of a gospel reading, and then it had a little prayer,
Mhm.
and it was always around, I guess, whatever appropriate week that was. Um, but I know, what is it? There was an app that I used to follow a couple of years ago that did that, something similar to it, but they haven't really updated, and it seems a little it's
Yeah,
not really working with the latest
yeah,
Android update, so
yeah. Well, and of
anyway,
course, you can do the Liturgy of the Hours, which are very specific, and there's a shortened version for,
for that, yes.
people too as well. I
Mhm.
missed the one says, "Hey to Source, hello." I missed, who were going over the screw tape, I think, with Odin, but I can watch the rest with the stream. Yeah, that was the one I think I was, Carrie Smith and Odin, and I think the Forces of the Light ladies were on it as well. Um And then America says, "Yeah, they gave us one in the last class in the prayer say before you light the candle." Yeah, there's many, many different things you can do in customs. And Potato Reverend's still here. I just realized that there was a custom in Ireland because I would do it with the family where you would light a candle in the window, like a big ass candle in the window on Christmas Eve to to welcome Jesus, or not welcome Jesus, but that Mary and Joseph and Jesus are, well, maybe Jesus is still in Mary's belly, but for Joseph and Mary to find a place to stay. And so you put the candle out so that they can see, oh, that's a place where we can stay at the home. So that's also a custom.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Stephen Ransom.
I
Mhm.
mean, another custom are also the candles in the windows where that was a tradition that's been and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it came from Roman period where Christians were persecuted or something. It was something during
Maybe.
Christians were persecuted. I mean, Christians have been
Sure.
persecuted over time,
Mhm.
in many parts of history, and putting candles in the windows was a symbol of Christianity without it being like you weren't saying you're professing you're a Christian to other Christians,
Mhm.
so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Micah says, "For with every prayer said to the Lord Jesus, Virgin Mary, and God Father, always go Americas afterward with one Our Father, one Hail Mary, and one Glory be." Oh, yeah, that's like a thing.
That's always a safe one, and it's always a good one. It's
Yeah, yeah,
just
all
because it's
3.
safe doesn't mean it's bad. It's always a good one to go with. So,
Yeah. Um, oops. Oh, what did I do?
oh,
Oh, it's Harry Potter. That's my next stream. Oops. Let me go back. Sorry about this. Yikes. That was okay. Sorry, I hope I didn't make anyone car sick. Yeah, let's take we pause this stream to talk about the Chamber of Secrets, the Jesse tree. Now, this is a non-official custom, but it goes back all the way to about 1100, I think, and it's from the Eastern churches that they have this thing, the representation of the Jesse tree, where it's like a tree with all the branches of like the Old Testament people, the people of Jesus's family, that they're all together and they all come together in Jesus. I hope I'm explaining that correctly.
The Jesse tree. Okay, so again, y'all, I'm what you would call a cradle Catholic,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I'm not. I know plenty of Catholics who are like that, who are have knowledge recall. I was not born with the knowledge recall, so that's something that God did not give me.
Oh,
Jesse's tree is kind of something that I know of, but I don't have good knowledge on. If that makes
yeah, and
sense.
frankly, I was trying to figure out when it kind of started to be done with Latin Rite Catholics, but I
It might have
haven't
been
been.
adopted, and it was kind of I don't
It
know how
might
to
have even been something very recent where they
like more
families.
Americanized type of
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
But it is a nice little custom to do because, oh, by the way, oh wait, someone said something nice about us. Rocky the Black Dragon for making incredible material, Miss Martin muses. Everyone, all of you are on Santa's nice list. Oh, good.
Yay!
Yay. Oh, got a lot to do season. Yay, thank you. So here's an example of how you'll often see the Jesse tree. I first saw it when I was teaching in Catholic schools, and they would do it there. So I think it's more a pedagogical thing. So here's what it looks like, and many times the kids will actually create them themselves, and it's got all the stories from the Old Testament that lead up to Jesus. You see Joseph, you see Noah's Ark, the ram with what's his name? Abraham, the trumpets at Jericho, all of the main events leading up to it, David, and then of course there's Mary and baby Jesus.
I
So it's
know I know, because this slide I'm sorry,
no,
Teresa.
no, go ahead.
I know this slide I'm trying to recall in the depths of my brain,
Uh-huh.
because It's been a long time ago since I was in elementary school, let's put it
Mhm,
that way. But I remember doing stuff like this, like doing
mhm,
a lot of arts and crafts around that's I think that's where we learned about the Jesse tree, but we never really it wasn't necessarily a custom.
mhm.
It was more like part of learning in the Catholic school I was in, or schools because I moved a couple times, during the season.
Yeah,
I
and
think
CCD.
it was kinda like one of those things that got added on as far as probably, Catholic learning.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, 'cause I'm seeing this and I'm like, "Man, I remember coloring
Yeah, like,
like this."
associated with school and coloring them and the like, and but it is good, and families, if they decide to do that, like, if you're a little more hardcore like me and don't put up your Christmas tree until Christmas Eve, maybe this is a way that you can have your tree and all decorated and the kids decorated in the home as well. So that's a good way for the
Mhm,
family to also celebrate Advent, and
mhm,
learn about the Old Testament and how it's all connected with Jesus.
mhm,
The Sometimes people like to give the lineages in the old in the gospels when it's like, and then so and so begat so and so that begat so and so that begat so and so, but that's important because it's showing the lineage all the way up to Jesus,
mhm,
because he was the one that was prophesied, he is the Messiah, and now he is here with us. So you can do that. Now this is really an unofficial one, is Handel's Messiah, that it goes along with Advent and Christmas. It kind of works with it because it has all of the Old Testament, "O comfort ye my people, he shall feed
mhm,
his flock." Lots of those prophecies from Isaiah are in Messiah, and when we read those in mass, because the prophecies of the Messiah are in the mass, it kills me because 'cause I'm just hearing comfort ye my people. So you have those in Messiah as well as the whole King of Kings and Lord of Lords, because that's what it's going to be like when Jesus comes. It's going to be one heck of a big coronation, celebration, all that good stuff. It's a great work of art that he did, and you will see it performed around Christmas time. Parts of it are actually things to do with the birth of Jesus, like the glory to God, but here it is. Also, if in case you didn't know, when you are listening to Handel's Messiah, when you get to the Hallelujah chorus, you always stand up. That is tradition.
mhm.
So, if you see everyone start to stand up from, the Hallelujah chorus, go ahead and do so. Unless it's in the mass. If you are doing it, like, once we did it at a mass on Christmas, of course, you stay kneeling, but
Oh, yeah.
other than that, they stand. It's a tradition. Yeah, Stephen Rinson, "The light in the candle has been a symbol for the fragility of life and the wobbling in the wind, the perseverance of the human spirit." Yeah, see, there's all sorts of different ways you can baptize these things. Baptize small b. Meteor Advocate Timon says, "We don't decorate the Christmas tree anymore. We have a small plastic tree that has all the lights and ornaments on it, and we put it on display after Christmas. It goes back to storage." Ah,
Oh.
well,
It's I will say this, my family came from a tradition of putting the Christmas yeah, excuse me, Christmas tree up and putting everything up on Christmas Eve. Well, that kinda changed when my dad threw his back out Christmas Eve, putting the tree in the house and had to be in the hospital. So that was something that had we always had the tree up beginning of December because of that
mhm.
very reason. So, I understand traditions and all that kind of stuff of, like, you don't wanna have everything out, but with my dad throwing his back out on Christmas Eve when we were all still young and bad back runs in my family, it's kinda one of those things where I think that can get a little that's okay to overlook sometimes.
Yeah, or do I used to hey, I have, like, a pop-up tree that just is already decorated, if I even do it, you know? It's a thing, and I'm not knocking
Yeah.
people that go ahead and sell it. I mean, if you wanna decorate your Christmas tree, like, what you do in your home, that's that's fine. It's in the church, though, it's very strict. You will not see Christmas decorations,
Exactly.
but, like,
At
it's
least
not a sin or anything if you
at
do.
and people who make it, turn who be like, "That's, it's a sin," or whatever. I'm like, Christmas has a lot of different traditions culturally,
Mhm.
um, and I think whatever goes on in the church itself, that's far more important than than anything else. If you want to practice having the tree ups right after Thanksgiving or the second weekend of Advent, like whatever, it's are you are you still are you still having, what, faith, hope, and charity in your heart basically during the
Exactly.
season. It's kind of that's kind of how I look at it. And, besides, at least for us, when we switched from a real tree to a plastic tree, at least the plastic tree can last well beyond Christmas for the actual season. So
Yes.
some of these trees just don't last anymore. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, and there's also a custom up north when I lived there on Epiphany.
Mhm.
After Epiphany's over, there would people would come and bring their trees if they were real, and we'd have a big bonfire. That was fun.
Oh gosh, this tree would sparkle. That's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's really cool and special. But anyway, yep.
Yeah,
Anyway.
especially when it's cold and everything, it's just really awesome, and America's I feel your pain, I don't have a Christmas tree anymore because cat yeah, I've seen what cats do. What happens on Christmas stays on well done, Steven Ransom.
And it's so funny. My cat, she's like the complete opposite of cat.
Mhm.
She loves Christmas. She lays so I have a manger under my tree because I have a little small tree in my room, and baby Jesus is not there for he comes out during Christmas,
Mhm.
actual Christmas Day. But funny enough, I have really what is it? I have flirted with the idea of creating a little mini children's book based on my cat because she loves Christmas so much.
Aw.
And like a little story of her saving the baby Jesus or something like that. I know it sounds really silly.
No, that
But
would be awesome. See, the kids love those kind of books. I wanna read that
she
book.
loves she loves laying underneath the Christmas tree right next to the manger and everything. She never bothers the tree. She cares
Oh.
about more the ambiance part of it, I guess.
Girl,
But
you've gotta do that. Children's books are a lot easier to well, when I say easier, you know what I mean.
and
It's
it's kind of like more of, I guess, a world of like a magical world, but more like saving the baby Jesus in the magical world, if that makes sense. It's
no, it
kinda
does
like a
look so
like a Rudolph the claymation series kind of feel to
yeah,
it.
oh my gosh, girl. Yeah, Soul Sound said, "The cat who saved Christmas." Do it, Mags, yeah.
I would love yeah, I just need an illustrator. That's all I need because I have the idea and I would think it would be a really cool series, but I don't have an illustrator. So
Yeah, and hello, Ancient One. And, kids need more fun books to counter all the crap they're getting nowadays. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. That sounds like great fun. YouTube Cats Are Nuts, write the book. Yeah, that's really cute, but it's interesting that your cat is like that because mine are kind of weird too about it all
It's
as
so funny,
well.
I see videos all the time of a cat and even a fake Christmas tree, and I'm like, "My cat just loves laying underneath the tree."
Oh, but yeah, you could oh gosh, you could put that there and then how, like, when baby Jesus comes, she wraps herself around baby Jesus to keep him warm or something.
Well, what did because she's a tabby. So,
Uh-huh.
the what is it? The myth, legend, stories, what have you, I don't know, but of course the M on the forehead of a tabby is the legend is, that Mary marked the first tabby and with the M. So that's why it has something to do I forget the story behind it, but the reason why tabby has that M is because our mother Mary, um, marked a cat with that because either by a cat kept the baby Jesus warm or something. I can't remember the actual story behind it, but that's why every tabby is marked that's why every tabby is marked with the letter M on their forehead.
There we go. Oh my gosh, and you could make oh, girl, do oh, wait, no, if anyone steals this, I'm gonna hunt you down. This is a great idea. Positive Fandom says, "So enjoyed the stream tonight. Yay, saw the shift in theaters. Yeah, I wanna see that so
I wanna
bad."
see that too.
And this is looking forward to Cabrini in March 2024.
Mm.
Yes, they're doing a movie about Saint Francis Cabrini, and I
Oh, that
was
would be a good one.
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be. I saw the trailer and I'm like, oh, I think it's okay. But I saw who that they had a lot of really good consultants on it. I always get nervous. Isn't that awful? Whenever I see people making movies about saints or about the church.
Oh, because they like to put it in their own way.
Yeah, they're well, and crap on the church, and so
Yes.
you come out feeling terrible. But I think the Angel Studios will know better. The their big star who plays Jesus, he's a Catholic, and so is I think I don't know if the actress who plays Cabrini is a Catholic, but I know that the actress who plays Saint Mary Magdalene is. So I think
Mhm.
they're not gonna mess around with that.
And Angel Studios seem to be very serious in what they're trying to put out, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, so it wouldn't do for them to tear down well, not just tear make it more I could imagine, "Oh, the church sucks and this woman only succeeded because she, you know, went against the church," which wasn't the case, but we'll see what they do.
Mhm.
Rascalad one of those tabby marks, but he doesn't let you get close enough to see it, hence his name. Oh, Hatosaurus says, yeah. Yeah, another little thing when you mentioned the nativity set,
Mhm.
a cute little thing that I've done before, I did do is you can take all your nativity figures, like Mary and Joseph, and put them, like, way up high well, like, no, the 3 kings end up way up high, like, in a far corner of the closet, and Mary and Joseph are in another room, and as you go through Advent, you can move them around as they get closer to the
It's like
thing,
a
and then Mary
living nativity almost.
yeah, in your house, and then you know, move the "Oh, it's time for the animals to eat." Yeah, that kind of a thing, and for kids, this is a good thing too, and then, Mary and Joseph, they all arrive on Christmas Eve, and on Epiphany, the 3 kings finally make it down, so that's another fun thing you can do.
I I do have to say this, and I know this is probably it's a little irreverent joke or whatever, but because I have the 3 kings on one side and, I have a shepherd and a sheep on the other side. Well, because of the way the shepherd is made and as a statue, it's so skinny, the base is so skinny, he tends to fall over, and then whenever she lays underneath, I can always tell she's laid underneath or left a mark because not only is the little wrap around the tree at the bottom, like, some part of it's
Oh.
flat, but the shepherd's fallen over, and I'm like, "Oh, I can tell the cat's been here because the shepherd is drunk, he's fallen over."
Oh, man.
But I mean, it's just a little joke like that, but I always put him back up because I mean, she can't help herself. She's just
No.
trying to get close up to it, so
Well, once my cats, I they must have thought they were toys because I went over to my nativity set and they were all, like, knocked down. Like, they were, like,
I
batting him over and not seeing him knocked down, and it was like, did Satan come in or something? Because Mary and Joseph, all of them are all over, and but my cats, they like to knock things over, so I have to keep them really high now, but it was just kind of funny. Um, Steven Ranson says, "RDG and Toby Tropic trailer, Hollywood loves to be a Christian bully, so tired of Christian messaging." Yeah, it's garbage. It really is.
believe me, I'm tired too, Steven.
Yes. So that's why I'm hoping that Angel Studios so far has done a pretty good job, so I hope that they will continue. I see your question, Mikey Seuss 4 rather. I have started. We're gonna get back to it in a second, but
Mm,
I wanted us to go through some Advent hymns. I was bringing some off the top of my head. I know there's a lot more. Come so you don't sing Christmas songs in mass and liturgy, but things like "Come Thou Long Expected Jesus," "O Come Emmanuel" at the appropriate time, "Comfort Ye My People." Another one is "Lo, How a Rose E'er Blooming." And I didn't know if there was any other hymns that you can think of off the top of your head. This is all I had before we started. I just kinda made this.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, those are
there's, like, typical ones you're gonna hear.
yeah, the typical ones, 'course I don't
The advent of our king, that's a well, that's one. I was gonna say. Uh,
I mean, those are usually the typical because those are typical ones there. But I wish I could,
mhm,
but work, daily math stuff. I'm sure there's more explored,
mhm.
during the week, but typically, yeah, on the weekends, especially O Come, O Come Emmanuel is a big one.
Yeah, it's when
Um,
you're gonna hear because it's,
yeah.
it's in its very name, "Oh, sing the greatness of the Lord, when the king shall come again." Some of these are hmm,
Some of them are not sung as often.
mhm.
I feel like some churches are missing out. Let's put it that way.
I
'Cause
think so too, because there's really a great I almost said legendarium. I've been reading too much Tolkien, but you know what I mean. It's just some
there's nothing
really
wrong
good
with that. I think
yeah,
you'd
there's
be
nothing
proud.
wrong with that at all. Oh boy, but there's just some good stuff, and remember, we're also not just waiting for baby Jesus, we're waiting for the King of Kings to come at the end of time. So there you also might find things about Christ the King and when Christ comes and judgment and all that good stuff.
And a lot of the Psalms are kind of, shaped around that too,
Mhm,
especially during, the liturgical years and how they, set that up for, the first and second reading, and then, first reading, then the psalm, the second reading,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
it's
so that
chosen.
always goes along with it too as well. Oh,
Mhm,
of the Father's heart be hot begotten, lo, he comes in clouds ascending. I'm
mhm.
I'm looking 'em up. Well,
A
"For
lot of
unto us a
songs
child is born."
a lot of songs, y'all, are not gonna be ones that you hear on the radio. Let's put it that
No,
way.
no, but
Um,
fun, and if you do have a parish where they do the antiphons, which they should be chanted, and that's also pretty fun.
mhm,
Let's see, "Away in a Manger," that's actually technically a Christmas song, so we sing that one on
mhm.
Christmas Eve usually because it talks about
Silent Night is
Jesus.
another one that's a Christmas Day or Christmas time, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, so we don't do that. We we just do these ones, and it's fun to do because we're waiting. I think that's the end of my list here. Yep, because then we get to Harry Potter. So that's a preview for when I am able to put that together for that What's a Radio? Oh my gosh, Mikey says for as kids, my brother Phil and I used our Star Wars figures against the nativity, toy figurines, all good fun. Oh dear.
But, kids don't know. They'll I think even my brothers had their little army men out, I think, protecting little baby Jesus and all that kind of
Oh.
stuff. I mean, think of, Toy Story type style going on. It's
Yeah, oh, that's cute. Oh, dear. Loads of different,
uh,
traditions and way to welcome baby
and
Jesus.
you don't wanna kill that either in children,
No.
especially when
No,
their imaginations are going, and you want them to interact with not just the magic and spirit of Christmas, so to speak, but also the religious aspect of it, so
precisely. In their own way, children play is very important for children and how they express themselves. Let me see. Let's go ahead, and there was a question here, but it had to do with Christmas specials. What was everyone's favorite 2 Christmas specials? First, was it Charlie Brown Christmas and The Little Drummer Boy? Oh,
Oh,
boy. Yeah,
whoa. Oh, yeah.
I
That's a good
think that
one.
that's
My
gosh.
my my mother loved I mean, I love it too, The Little Drummer Boy, but it's you're talking about the claymation? That is such a good movie, like, how they did that movie is it's phenomenal, and
Mhm,
I mean, even as I liked it as a kid, but it was scary for me as a
mhm.
kid 'cause it wasn't I mean, it wasn't how do I say it? It wasn't rough, it was more kids movies these days are so soft, let's put it that
Yeah,
way. It's just it's a little different for us who grew up with all of this stuff, like All Dogs Go to Heaven and all this other kind of movies. Um, but it's a really special song movie, excuse me, and that's how they framed it, and it's really beautiful at the end.
Mhm.
Um, and seeing it as an adult is a totally different experience. Um,
Yeah.
but it was also during a time where, for the most part, still, even during that time, Hollywood disrespected Christianity. If you don't believe me, you should listen to people and read headlines and such from back in that period. But Christianity was a far much more prominent religion in America, and so they had to respect their audience. So, but there were definitely people behind the scenes in Hollywood that respected their religion as well, when they produced stuff, whereas today they don't. So
Yeah.
something like The Little Drummer Boy is very, very special, because there were definitely people behind it that actually, um, loved what they believed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's when we saw a lot of those movies that Hollywood did. I'm even thinking things like The Song of Bernadette and
oh
Sound of
gosh.
Music and all that. It wasn't because they were hyper Christian. It was because they knew that that's what the audience wanted.
And not only that, but they were actually people. They were still people, even those who didn't. There were definitely those who didn't believe and didn't like it, but there were definitely still plenty of those behind the scenes that believed as well, and they cared about their craft, but they also cared about what they were portraying.
Mhm.
So,
There was more respect. I'm thinking of Bells of
yes.
St. Mary's. That's another one. I know that's not technically a Christmas special. Of course, I used to watch Rudolph. Rudolph. I loved Rudolph.
Oh, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the
Mhm.
claymation. Oh, that's such a good one. I mean, even like the Santa Claus is Coming to Town is a good one.
Mhm.
Um,
Nightmare Before Christmas, of those old stop motion movies. I don't really have much of an
I'm not a Tim Burton fan. I'm just gonna say that. I mean, I respect his art style and everything, but that's
mhm.
just not what I grew up with. Um,
Yeah.
uh, I
I've had
mean,
the new
go
sorry,
ahead.
Deck says I've had the new Paul Giamatti Christmas movie, The Holdovers, strongly recommended by multiple people. Hmm.
Good. Another one is The Muppet Family Christmas.
I love that. Is that the one with John Denver? Never mind.
No, it's not. It's one where Sesame Street and the Muppets come together at Fozzie's mother's house.
Oh my.
Um, it's a very old classic. It's very hard to find on DVD. In fact, my mother found it. And it's not, and a lot of times on the DVDs, it's not gonna be the full version of it. Um, we had it on VHS for a long time, and I think during one of our moves we lost it.
Mhm.
But it's another good one, and another classic because Jim Henson makes an appearance in there.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm. And it's something. It's a precious one to behold because it's about coming together, family, and it's there's yeah. We watched it the other night as a family. It's kind of like that one, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, um, the anime classic, not the new one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that really shows the spirit of Christmas when he wakes up and they're all happy. He's like, "Why are they all happy?" And it was they didn't even look for their presents. They all wanted to go out and just be
Well,
singing
he
because it was Christmas.
he thought he was gonna stop Christmas from coming, but it came anyway. And
Exactly, and he thought could do it by taking away the presents, but the presents really wasn't what Christmas was all about.
so that one is another good classic. And of course, Charlie Brown Christmas
Mhm.
is a great one because it really nails things down in terms of what the meaning of Christmas is. And of course, they read from the Bible, so
Yeah,
it's
really
real.
a great retelling when he retells the story, oh my gosh.
I know. It's a really beautiful story. It's short, sweet, and to the point.
Mhm.
And it's still a classic because you have the great music from it. So, that one, Rudolph is another one that I grew up with.
Christmas
Um,
Story, though
that one
technically
is
it's not a special, it's a movie, sorry.
That one that one is not one that I grew up with, but I've watched later in life. I
Mhm.
don't know why. I guess maybe it was just not one of those things that was in the, rotation, I guess, of
Yeah.
movies that we had.
Well,
Um
yeah, it came out when I was about 10, maybe I was a little younger,
Mhm.
but it was my parents' fault that I watched it so much because they were just died laughing and all. They were like, because it was their childhood that it was showing, because growing up in the as kids in the late 40s, early 50s, they were about the same age as Ralphie, and they're like, "That's exactly what it was like." So, because they related so much to it, we would watch it with them, and then, it became a classic too. Because I think we forget that that's a boomer thing,
Mhm.
and even the stuff with the soap and Lifebuoy, I mean, my dad nearly died because yeah, that's what his mom would do.
Well, it was a movie made in basically the '80s,
Mhm.
and it was set during the time of the boomer era when they were kids.
Yeah,
So, it's really well done.
yeah.
Stephen Ransoms that mentions The Bishop's Wife. The Bishop's Wife is really good, the original one,
Mhm.
with Cary Grant, David Niven, and Loretta Young, that I actually just watched. My folks and I watched that the other night. It's a good movie of, yeah,
Like,
black and white, but White Christmas is a good one. That one's in the Technicolor. That's with, Bing Crosby and, oh gosh.
everybody Google. My
Oh my
brain's gone
goodness.
blank.
White Christmas, it features the mom who is I'm blanking out on the names. It's so bad. Anyway, it's a good movie. That's actually kind of, if you really wanna say, a remake of Holiday Inn, which with
Yeah.
Fred Astaire. Um, that's another good movie as well. What's another good one?
Yeah, if we're looking at old ones, well, do you remember the one with John Denver and the Muppets? And there's that's what I would watch when I was little. I think it was
And see,
new.
I don't that wasn't part of our repertoire as far as, I mean, I know the John Denver one, but it just wasn't one that was, like, in the rotation as far as when we grew up, it was
Yeah.
VHS tapes. Um,
Well, of course, the Christmas Carol. A lot of people have been mentioning that any version of a
A
Christmas
Muppet
Carol.
Christmas Carol, the George C. Scott version of,
Hmm.
Christmas Carol is another great one. Um, in fact, the other day, it was funny 'cause, I was looking through our Christmas DVDs that we have here, and I'm like, "You know what we need? We need a Muppet Christmas Carol." So we
Yeah,
ordered it because 'cause we're like, "We need that in our life."
yeah. I was in college, a freshman when that came out, and we all went to see it. All a bunch of grown ups, and we had loads of fun with that.
It's such a good movie. It's so well done. Gosh, what's another other few movies that I can think of that I'm trying to.
Well, you've got Home Alone, which
Oh, yes.
is a good family kind of movie.
That's a classic. Of course, The Santa Claus with Tim Allen is another classic.
Mm.
Um,
And I am not ashamed to admit that I have begun a constant watching of Hallmark Christmas movies.
Join the dark side, Teresa, join the
I
dark
I mean, I
side.
can't help it, they're so bad. The one I watched last
They're
night was
so
called
cheesy.
Catch Me If You Claus was its name, and it was a chick who fell in love with Santa's son, and I was like, "What am I watching?" But I loving it, and yeah, and then there's, like, Christmas Town, where someone gets stuck in a little small town that's just perfect, and she ends up with this guy in a library or something, I don't know. I love 'em. Oh, Die Hard. Oh, here we go,
Oh,
some
yeah.
positive fandom. Die Hard because the story is about a man has to save his wife and ultimately save his marriage and family. Yes.
And it was set during the Christmas time because he was traveling for Christmas.
Mhm,
So, mhm. And what a good time for it because he's basically Santa Claus coming into town
mhm.
and finding out who's naughty and nice,
Darn
basically, if you think
right,
about it
and
that way. So
Alan
he's like a
Rickman wasn't. Oh, of course, Miracle on 34th Street,
Oh, I could how do I
Steven
forget about
Ransom.
And, it's funny because I was on a panel talking about this. Some people were like, "Well, technically, it's a Thanksgiving. It starts at Thanksgiving time because it's the Macy's Day Parade
Mhm.
when it starts out." But the movie kinda takes place over the season. So,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
good. It's about believing.
And, it's so funny. I I love the I don't care. I love Hallmark Christmas movies because
Yay!
some of them are cheesy. Now, I like some of the early 2000s to mid 2000s ones, and I guess because some of them were really for me, I thought they were really good. I actually have a couple of movies. So
Yeah, no, and they're on airplanes. There's a whole thing where they got Hallmark movies, and I just put them on. It makes you feel good about humanity. And
there's a wholesomeness to it that
mhm,
you don't receive or feel in a lot of entertainment these days, and I think that's missing, and
mhm.
even though there's cheesiness and everything, but I'm like and I know not everybody's gonna act that way, but there are real people who do act this way, who are genuine, who are genuine and down to earth people, and it's just not everybody gets to meet them. So,
Precisely. Yes, and to me, as far as new entertainment, is the only thing that really keeps the Christmas spirit because everything else is so
mhm.
depressing. Scrooge, thank you, Mikey Seuss, for I actually love Scrooged.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
That's a very good one.
And if the ending where they're all singing, "Put a get a little of love in your heart, and the world will be a better place," it's just a fantastic modern telling of Scrooge in a good way. Nowadays, when you hear modern telling, you're like, "No," but no, this is good. It's hilarious, and it's uplifting, and it has the whole spirit of that. Die Hard is a Christmas movie because all the characters just get just what they wanted under a Japanese Christmas tree. 99% of Christmas is just so boring. Oh, well, it is what it is, and of course, that doesn't have to do with Advent. Obviously, that's why I started and left the question to the end. But these are things that are fun and not
You know,
necessarily contradictory.
in a way, I look at it this way because all around the world, everybody has the cultures have their own version of how they celebrate Christmas and how they lead up to it and everything. Um, this is kind of like our way of, and families have this too, of preparing yourselves for Christmas because it is a mini Lent, but it's like I said in the beginning, it's not necessarily and for lack of a better term, depressing and somber
Mhm.
because with this part of the season, it's preparation to new life and a rebirth. And it's like you said, second coming of Christ, and that's something to be joyful, something to look forward to, something to rejoice in. But that means we need to have a season of preparation leading up into it. So
Mhm.
how do you? It's like how do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare your life, your heart to be open to something like that? It can be as simple as watching Hallmark Christmas movies to be feeling that wholesomeness, that attitude of goodwill and everything else. It could be, you know, um, donating your time out in the community by, doing something charitable. It could be something as simple as the giving trees at your churches. It can be as simple as Christmas carols or, visiting an old elderly home. It can be very simple, or even talking about Christmas movies in general and what we grew up with and our nostalgia and everything. But, there's a lot of different aspects of how you can prepare yourself for the birth of Christ.
Yes.
Um, and a lot of times I think some of it with this season is kind of like going back to our roots of who we are and what makes us good and whole. Um, because I
Oh,
feel like this is a very childlike season, not in a bad way. It brings us
yes.
back to that innocence. Um, at least for me, it feels that way within
No,
this.
no, exactly it. And part of Revelation, my Advent thing I didn't wanna say earlier, I'll say it now, is I have not liked at all how negative things have been
Mm,
around our circles.
mhm.
And detaching myself from it. Because you can't control other people. I can only control myself because it makes me sad.
And
So
that can be your version of trying to prepare your own soul and heart, and
mhm,
that you recognize. I mean, it's okay to step away from things to realize that maybe it's just not good for you.
mhm. Yeah,
And just kind of getting yourself back to that childlike wonder.
exactly. Back, when things were a little happier.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think this season is maybe it's just also too we're going into the colder season, so we are feeling it not just physically, but also we're preparing ourselves in our homes, and sometimes you just need to prepare. We have to prepare our bodily homes as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And, mentally, spiritually, physically, it all goes together. It's all connected.
yep.
Oh, dear. Well, I this has been a fantastic conversation. I'm so glad that we were able to find time to do this because we'd mentioned we wanted to talk more of Catholicism together after the pub crawl.
Uh-huh.
So it just occurred to me about Advent. It's like, no one's talking about Advent. Let's do this.
And I'm so glad you reached out because I was like, yes, Advent is underrated and nobody talks about this. And this has been fantastic. Thank you, Teresa, for having me back on, and especially in the first week of Advent.
Yay.
We can talk about the rest of the month and what it entails, and songs that go with it, and um, it's
Yeah.
this has been fun. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, and yeah, and hopefully maybe some of you listening might maybe try out some of these things. And gosh, you even brought up some that just reminded me, yeah, yeah, let's do this. Um, yeah, Jesus and Others can be shown on Easter and Christmas. Yes, because it has the heart of Jesus. Oh, sorry, the heart of Jesus, the birth of Jesus. Thinking Sacred Heart. I was advised to fast from a group of channels like for a month. I didn't do it yet. Well, I won't get into specifics, but always do what's best for you, and
Mhm.
that's what I say no matter what. Thank you, always, as always, heartwarming. Well, thank you, Stephen Ransom. This has just been a blast, and I hope all of you maybe find something to be joyful, or if not joyful, peaceful. Because sometimes I think the pressure to be joyful can also lead to some depression, because some people are like, maybe I don't feel joyful, you know?
Some people are going through their own rough seasons,
Hmm.
and being told, "Oh, you must be joyful through it all," doesn't necessarily help them either.
No.
So sometimes sometimes people just need a hug, and sometimes you just need to reach out. So
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why, even though I said the word joyful, I also want to focus on peace. Have
mm,
peace in your heart, peace with
for
others. And forgiveness. You see, this is a thing. I'm going to preach this a little bit. Sometimes in anger or in moments we might say things we regret, but reconciliation is always possible. Or even if someone's done something to you and they ask for forgiveness, it takes courage to reconcile. There was a recent reconciliation. I won't talk about it, but it's possible. We can forgive, but we also need to respect each other out there in the Twitterverse and all that, and just be
and
aware
knowing
of boundaries.
and knowing when you've done wrong.
Mhm.
A lot of times I feel like in these spaces, because we're behind screens, people don't it's like people know that they're in the wrong, but then they don't want to admit it at all because they're behind a screen. So they just kind of move along. It's like a
Mhm.
faux thing or whatever, and I think it's important to make sure you continue being human online.
Yeah. That you don't lose yourself. But also, just, PSA, there respect people's boundaries as
Yep.
well. And sometimes it's
Yep.
like, yeah, there's boundaries, and people don't want to be drawn into things or whatever. It's like, I'm not talking about anything specific because there's too many to enumerate. It's just in general. It's just like read the room, read the room, and but also have peace and forgiveness too, because we're all human and there's always second chances, and most people are good people out there. Um, someone, Steven Anderson wants you to write the book. It could change your life and significant others. Yeah, I really think that's a great idea. I'm trying Miss Business. Yeah, actually, yeah, I sometimes get a little bit down at this time of year. I think it has something to do with darkness. When it gets dark, I have. It's just natural. I just feel a little more down. I think
It's,
it's.
I know sometimes it might be this, Teresa, it might be something called seasonal depression.
Mhm,
Sometimes I get that depending
mhm,
on what's going it's kinda like a lot of external factors, but if I'm particularly inside all the time and because either work,
mhm,
stressful other things going on, you're not exposing yourself to the sun, vitamin D deficiency does create seasonal depression because if you're not
mhm,
exposing yourself to the sun, has a lot to do with it. Um, so there's a lot of other factors. I know I've had that if couple of years. Not
mhm,
back it doesn't have to be back to back. It doesn't have to be back to back. It's just when you learn to recognize, okay, this is gonna like and Christmas is a very lonely time for a lot of families, a lot of people. Um, if you're if you're a young person wanting to have not a very lonely life at some point, um, sometimes it can be a burdensome on you too, in
mhm,
that light. But a lot of times that's where you need, I always find that I need to. It's not a self focus, but sometimes if you and that's not what seasonal depression is. It's just there's other factors.
mhm.
But sometimes if you focus outside of yourself, not that I'm saying you're selfish. It's just sometimes if you have to switch your mind up a little bit, um,
Yeah,
to focus on other things. So
yeah. And I guess my PSA there is that if people are telling you to be joyful and you're not feeling joyful, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
exactly.
Absolutely not. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Michael Sues. Have a drama-free Christmas. Yeah, exactly. I think,
Yeah.
and yeah, and usually when I say things like that, everyone thinks I'm talking about them. So I finally said, yes, I'm talking about all of you. No, I'm just talking in general. That I think that our online family, we need to remember some of these things too. It's be good to each other, and yeah,
You don't know what everybody's going through.
it precisely. I get into yours blues too. I mean, I'm not giving away any state secrets. A lot of us are sick. A lot of us have family members that are sick. A lot of us have people dying. A lot of us are losing our jobs. Some are facing being homeless. Some are going through divorces. Some are going through loss of a child. It's everybody. And so have some mercy on people and have some grace. It's also very hard for people who have lost a loved one. Like my grandfather died in Christmas time, and I think it really affects my dad a lot. Yeah, when it comes around. So,
Yeah, it's kind of like my mother around February with Valentine's Day and everything.
mhm,
She lost her father in February. This is back in the late long story short, back in the late 80s. He was a World War II vet, Korean vet, didn't really take care of himself, and it was a bad snowstorm, and believe it or not, and the Tidewater part of Virginia, which is on the East Coast, the beach side, so it was a major snowstorm, couldn't get to the hospital. Yeah, he had the flu and passed away by himself, so it's kind of one of those things where my mom does not like February very much because she feels a lot of guilt. Not
um,
that she didn't visit him in the hospital when she could, but
mhm,
it was kind of one of those situations. Um,
yeah,
so I
precisely.
totally totally understand because she even today from 89 to today, she still gets it. So
Yeah. Yeah, and be grateful for everything. I mean, every little thing helps. Yeah, yeah. I didn't mean to bring this down all of a sudden, but
no.
it is. It's also part of it as well. And I think that if you do actually get yourself more into Advent, I think that actually can help you with a person with the Christmas blues, if you will, because it's like, oh, you go to church and you do this. It's like everyone's like, oh, focusing on a different thing because there's not a lot of joyous stuff yet. So,
A good thing to do is visit an elderly home.
mhm,
Uh, there are a lot of lonely elderly people out there. If you know a church that's going to visit and it's a choir going or whatever, see if you can volunteer or something. Play an instrument, play bingo. I mean,
yeah,
it's so simple things.
yeah,
A lot of times if you not that I'm not saying again, I'm not saying it's selfish, but if you think outside of yourself sometimes so you don't get caught in your brain,
mm,
um, that can help.
exactly. And yeah, and the thing to also remember is whatever you start maybe at Christmas time, keep it going. Like, still go to the elderly
Exactly.
homes after Christmas. One of my brother-in-laws with both father and oh my gosh, that's terrible. Oh dear. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah. And of course, getting deeper into prayer and we can all pray for each other and we can all support each other and all that good stuff. Hoping the rest of your holidays and season is merry and bright. Yes, well, thank you and thank you very much. It's again, I just think we should all build each other up and support each other and love each other. Well, we don't have to love each other. When I say love, I'm talking okay, everyone freaks out. Often when I say love, I'm talking about caritas, charity, and be charitable to each other.
Faith, hope, and love,
Love.
or faith, hope, and charity.
Charity,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm
Mhm.
talking about, we're Catholic here, we don't believe in that, we don't believe in free love, leave dry, warm clothing, blankets out, don't look for things, just lay them out, oh,
Mhm.
that's so good and so lovely. Well, thank you everyone that's been here and been in the chat, everyone feel hugged, says Meteor, I make it Simone. Tell us where we can find you, Magitek.
Um, you can find me everywhere all at once sometimes. You can find me on, of course, on YouTube, Twitter. I am on Rumble and Kick, and oh gosh, with December, it's going to be a crazy month. I'm kind of in flux all the time
Mm,
because I'm looking at my own calendar and there's always something going on in my real life as well as online. But you can find me this Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Mephisto's channel talking about Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So you can check me out there. And next Thursday, on the 14th, Dames and Dorks is back on
yay,
Inside All Day Podcast. So check us out there. That will be 8 p.m. Eastern my time, 7 p.m. Central. Um, and 5 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you follow me around on those channels.
yay, and you can find me here in Miss Smart Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. I've got some more pub crawl coming up. We have a writer and scholar, European lore will be here on Saturday at noon, and
Ooh.
yeah, and next Thursday is gonna be none other than Lethal Lightning, finally. So he's gonna be coming back to Miss Martin Muses for that. Also, keep your eyeballs open for many, many other guests, some more Harry Potter, and now that my family member is coming to an end with her chemo, I will be able to in the new year do some more regular streams, the ones that I had been doing before. What else is coming up? Oh, I've got sweet rolls. The sweet rolls recipe video should drop tomorrow, but please also watch some of my Tolkien reviews because I think it's really important as we get up on the Rings of Power that we get to know the good professor. Oh dear. So, who else am I going to be on? I, I I sometimes I might pop up on Nina Infinities on her Sunday chats when they happen, as well as Song of Ice and Fire on Mondays with Sporking. So that's that.
Are you
Uh,
guys still hopeful for the
oh
future?
no, no. Well, no, I'm not. None of us. We don't give a no, no, no. That man ain't writing anything. No, I hate, not hate. Oh, here I am trying to be a good Catholic. Like, I hate that man. No, I pray for his soul. No, he he's not doing it. It really upsets me, but we have the AI version, so ha.
Hey, you wanna have a hopeful part of the season? There you go.
Yeah, exactly. But there is a lot of good stuff to talk about, especially in the Fire and Blood and with the House of the Dragon coming up. So we still have the world he built. We just may not have the ending. So it's insane.
Well, hey, you can make up whatever ending you want. There you go.
Exactly. And my ending is along the lines of Meteor Advocate Timon, just big old meteor hits and they all die because they deserve it. They're all terrible people. Let them die. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day and be certain to, well, first of all, thank all my guests. I think I did thank you, but if I didn't, I'm thanking you again. But be certain to watch and wait and have a Merry Christmas.